Hello everyone, my name is John Bussard. I'm an HP Solution Center engineer for Ingram Micro. I help support servers, blade systems, storage, as well as networking technology solutions from HP. In this video, we're going to explore HP's Insight Control Server Provisioning, which comes with your HP OneView license. Insight Control Server Provisioning is a replacement for RDP, or Rapid Deployment Pack, and allows us to do an automated process for installing operating systems on HP Reliant servers. We can do other things like image capture and creation, as well as migration of operating systems between physical hardware platforms or even into a virtualized environment. If you have Generation 8 or later systems, you have the ability to do this provisioning process through ILO as well as HP's intelligent provisioning mechanism. If you don't have one of these generation systems, you could use the Pixie boot environment. So Insight Control Server Provisioning is its own Pixie server. So with that being said, let's explore this management interface. Okay, here's the web interface for Insight Control Server Provisioning. There'll be two network adapters assigned to this system. One will be on your management network, and that's what we're logging into. And there will be another network adapter that will be assigned to your provisioning environment, and this will be your ILO environment or any server that you wish to Pixie boot from off your infrastructure. To get this system set up, it's not very difficult. It's a virtual machine that you can import into your virtualized environment. So for example, in my VMware environment, here is my virtual machine, and I just imported that through the deploy OVF template. You're also going to need to set up a media server, which is just a web server that's going to house your installation media, such as your 2012 servers, your ESX servers, and whatnot. By far the easiest way to do this is to set up a Windows server, and then what you'll do in that Windows server is you'll run an executable that they give you, and this is that executable, and I'll just fire that up real quick and run it, and quickly we'll come up with some prerequisites that we need. And we'll click continue. We'll select our location for our media, and then we'll select what media we wish to install into our environment. Right. And based on what you select here, once I click install, it's going to ask you for the location of the media of each one of these installation environments, as well as things like the service pack for Reliant or intelligent provisioning updates. If you're finished through this process and you want to install other ISOs, you just run it again and it'll bring them into the environment. After that's done, you'll just take the IP address for this media server and just plug it into your Insight Control Server Provisioning system, and you'll be off to the races. So let's log into our system here. Currently I have one system inside our environment, and I'm accessing it through ILO. It's easy to be able to get additional systems into the environment, especially if we're talking about ILO. Just click Add Server, put in the ILO IP address, as well as the ILO credentials. And then click Add. It kicked us from the service context into the job context. If you look up here, we can see all the different contexts. So we were over here, and it kicked us off over to here. These are all the different jobs that have run inside the environment, and we could see where we are as a part of this job process. So if I go back over to the server context, you'll see we still only see the one server system, but once that job is completed, we'll see the other system kind of pop up. Now, for systems that you want are not Generation 8 or newer systems that you want to provision within this environment, what you'll do is you'll just Pixie boot them on the network. So you just fire them up on the network. Again, this server has a Pixie boot environment on it, so I'll demonstrate that to you through some virtual machines that are connected to this network. So we'll power this one on, as well as this system here. And in a little bit, you'll see the Pixie boot environment come up. We'll see Insight Control Server Provisioning menu, and it'll auto boot into the maintenance mode. And both of these systems will do that. If we go back into our management interface, we can see that the ILO interface is starting to be detected and added into this environment. The Pixie boot servers will automatically show up inside this environment in a little bit. So what can I do with a system once it's been added to the environment? I can run OS build plans against it. So if I go over here to Actions, you'll see Run OS build plan. If you click on it, I could add a plan. I got a variety of these plans. And before we go into this, let's explore what these OS build plans are. So we'll change the context to OS build plans, where we're going to be able to see all the OS build plans that come with this system. HP gives you a default set of OS build plans, which you'll find will work for you in most of the cases for deploying operating systems. There will come a time, though, that you will want to modify them or tweak them for your infrastructure. OS build plans are not only for operating systems that we see down here, but there are other things that we can deploy inside this environment or take action against in this environment, such as migrate a Linux server, Windows server, clear EFI boot menus, erase the server, a whole variety of things that you'll see that you'll be able to do. Okay. We go down to the Windows operating systems. We can see that we can do image capture and an image install. So this will be the capture and redeployment of an image within an environment. We can also do a scripted install. If we quickly take a look at the scripted install, we see the steps that this build plan will go through in order to install an operating system. Okay. And if I go over here and try to edit these steps from the get-go, it won't let me do that because it's one of the base builds that HP gives you. So what they want you to do is go over to Actions and then Save As, and save it as another name. And I've actually done that inside this environment. If I scroll all the way up, we'll see that I have some build plans that I've started off. I've named my ProLiant such and such. Like for example, if we take this 2012 build plan, actually we'll look at the scripted one. This is the process that we go through in order to be able to install this operating system inside this environment. And I can select Edit, right, and I can make changes, so I can move some of these procedures around and customize this. Right. I could actually add steps as well to this process. Right. Scripts are a variety of other things. Right. I can select the script. Right. And I can even go through and modify the scripts. So if I go in here, if you notice, one of the first scripts that showed on my build plan was validate custom settings. So if I click here, I scroll all the way down, you'll see that validate custom attributes show up here. And you can actually see the script that'll run down here. Right? And again, this won't allow me to edit it because it's one of the HP defaults. But I can go over to Action and Save As. Right. If you're not a script wizard or anything like that, it's not very difficult to be able to tinker with these and get them to work, for your environment if you want to customize them. But like I said, the default build plans are usable, and you can use them to actually deploy operating systems within your environment. So let's go back over to the server menu. We can see that two new systems have showed up in the environment, and these are the two virtual machines that I booted up on the Pixie network. If I go over and look at the console of these, you can see that they're in a maintenance mode. So this guy's sitting in a maintenance mode, as well as this system here is sitting in a maintenance mode. Right, we'll select this guy here, and what we'll do is we'll run a build plan against this. So go over to Action, run an OS build plan, add a plan, and I'll scroll down to 2012 standard scripted install. Select add. Now I get to choose when I want to run the job, if I want to run it immediately, or if I want to select the time in which I can run it. Right, I'm actually going to run this now. I could also choose if I want to change the default network configuration that's within the build plan. So I could select customize, and I get to choose some options for this if I wanted to. Right, but once you made your choices, you click OK. It'll validate it. It'll make sure that you want to run this build plan. I'm going to select yes. Then it'll kick me on over to the jobs context, where I can watch my job run, and we can see that this guy is running right here against this system. And it'll come back and this will start to populate itself. So let's go back over to our server context and let's deploy another operating system on this. Maybe we'll do 2008. Let's go up here, run a build plan again, add a plan. We'll select add, and OK. So it becomes a very quick and easy process for being able to deploy operating systems within your environment. And again, we're kicked back on over to the jobs. We can see that this is starting to set up. If I look down here, we can see that we're at step 4 of 20 as far as this build process is concerned. So let's go back to our server context so we could see both of our systems show up with the ILO interfaces. So let's choose and do a deployment to one of these systems. Why don't we choose a hypervisor for this guy here. Maybe we'll do ESX55 update 2. So I'll run a build plan. Now because this build plan doesn't know whether it's going to install on an SD card or on a RAID controller, they actually left the RAID configuration on out of the build plan. But I can run multiple build plans as a part of a job. So I'll add a plan. At the top, I've modified one of the build plans to do a RAID 5. Select add. Then I'll add another plan. And then we'll scroll all the way down to our VMware systems. Where did that go? It should appear somewhere. There it is. And again, we'll do 5.5 update 2. We'll select add, and I'll click OK. And it'll validate that I want to run this, and we'll run that. Right, and again, I'm kicked over the jobs menu. I can see this build plan running, and again, I can check my other builds to see how they're going as far as the process is concerned. Right. We will go out and we'll actually install SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. I'll select this guy here, and this is a Gen 9 system. Go up here, run an OS build plan, add the plan. This time again we'll run multiple builds, so we'll do a RAID 5, and then we'll actually add SUSE Linux Enterprise Server as the scripted install. And again, now if I wanted to, I could run this against multiple servers if I felt like it. I just go down here and add another system within the environment, right? And it would run this build plan on both those systems, or however many systems I wanted to run this against. So it's a quick way to get many servers deployed within an environment. Right. I'm going to click OK again. Again, it's going to validate that I want to run this. I'm going to click yes. And then this build plan is off. Right, and we can look here again, see where our RAID setup is coming along. Look at our 2008 setup as well as our 2012 setup. Okay. And we'll go back to our server context. Okay. And we can take a quick peek at the console of these systems. So here we can see that the deployment process is going through in the background. as well as the system here. Okay. And if we wanted to launch the ILO interface into both of these systems, you'll see that so we're sitting at the intelligent provisioning prompt as it goes through the installation process, and we can do that here for this guy as well. And we'll see that this system is also sitting at the intelligent provisioning process. All right, so while this provisioning is going on, I'm going to go off and, as you should, and complete some other administrative tasks within your infrastructure as these operating system is deployed. So I'm going to pause this, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at what we're left with as a part of this deployment process when it completes. Okay, we're nearing the end of the provisioning process here. I already have one system that is up and running, and I figured we'd take a quick look at that guy real quick. That would be this here. We could see that the 2012 system has come up, and we can actually log into this guy if we want to. And as it goes in through some of the initial first login prompts. The other systems are still working their way through the installation process here. So if we go over to the 2008 system, we can see that it's working through its installation. And then if we look over here, we can see the SUSE Linux Enterprise Server is going through its installation process, as well as the VMware server is going through its installation process. But in a little bit, these will all be deployed within the environment with minimal effort on my behalf. I hope you found this video informative, and please stay tuned for more videos.